Have you heard about Dianne Durham? She was the first Black U.S. national championship winning gymnast. She passed in February, and there was a memorial for her that just took place. Today, we'll be talking about Dianne Durham and the incredible life she lived and the hope she brought to future gymnasts. It's been a hard hit for the gymnastic community, but let's remember such an amazing woman. Dianne Durham history. In 1981, Durham left home at 13 years old to become the first elite gymnast to train with Romanian national team coaches Bella and Martha Caroli in Houston. After 2 years, Durham won the senior national title as well as the vault, uneven bars, and floor titles. She also won the all-around floor title at the 1983 McDonald's International Invitational in Los Angeles. However, at the Olympic trials the next year, a mixture of injuries and politics kept Durham off the Olympic team. She then retired from the sport a year later, but continued to perform in tours and eventually became a coach and judge. Fast forward to 1996, she opened her own gym, Skyline Gymnastics in Chicago, a 45-minute drive from her hometown of Gary. Dianne Durham Memorial. Durham won her national championship at just 15 years old back in 1983. She was thought to be one of the best gymnasts in the world. She was a front runner for the 1984 Olympic team, but she was kept out of the games after sustaining an injury. Dianne Durham was the first Black woman to win a U.S. national championship. The Gary native died at 52 years old in February this year after a short illness. A memorial wasn't held during that time because of the pandemic, but loved ones have finally come together to celebrate and honor her on Saturday. Durham's family, friends, and former teammates met at Westside High School in Gary to reflect on the impact she made on the world of gymnastics. Many gymnasts want her inducted into the Hall of Fame because of the lasting mark she has left on the gymnastic work by paving the way for other Black women. Do you think Dianne Durham should be placed in the Hall of Fame? She did make a very important impression on the gymnastics world. What do people have to say? Gymnasts through the generations, including Gabby Douglas, Simone Biles, Nadia Comaneci, Betty Okino, and members of the 1984 U.S. Women's Olympic Gymnastics team, have paid tribute to Dianne Durham. Several hundred people showed up to the memorial, and these were some of the things they had to say about the trailblazer. Her friend, Linda McDonald, had this to say: "When people recognized Dianne, she was truly flattered that they knew who she was. She was, is, and always will be gymnastics greatness." Her teammates spoke about her competitiveness and how compassionate she was. Former gymnast Angela Denkins had this to say: "When we would be on the floor competing, there was never a sense of competing against each other. It was always being there for each other." Dianne was a trailblazer, and honoring her accomplishments has long been overdue. The grace and power she displayed while faced with unfairness and opposition was truly admirable, said Douglas, the 2012 Olympic all-around champion and the first Black gymnast to win that title. The 7-time Olympic medalist Simone Biles had this to say: "I was so impressed and inspired by Dianne. We met at a gymnastics show and she was so amazing. Dianne really paved the way for Black gymnasts like me." The first Black U.S. gymnast to win a Games medal in 1992, Betty Okino, had this to say: "I had the privilege of getting to know her. I got to hear the stories of what it was like being sent to compete internationally in South Africa during apartheid. She was one of a kind and opened the door for so many young brown-skinned girls to believe that their dream of representing this country in gymnastics could be a reality." We often talk about the first to win a gold medal, but we don't often talk about how it all began. There is so much representation in the sport now, and that's thanks to Dianne. Okino is very right there. We're lucky and blessed to have so much representation. People always talk about winning the gold, but when do we stop and take the time to appreciate the hard work that went into making this all happen? Stay tuned, because we have more news about Dianne Durham and a little bit about the gymnastics community next. The Hall of Fame. Over the years, the work that Durham accomplished and the trail that she made for other women began to fade from public memory. However, after her passing, the 1984 Olympic team members realized that she should be included in the USA Gymnastics Hall of Fame. Tracy Talavera had this to say: "After Dianne's passing, all of us on the 1984 team realized she wasn't in the Hall of Fame, and that needed to change. We went to Lili Lung at USA Gymnastics and worked to get her there, where she belongs. I'm just so sorry Dianne didn't see herself inducted into the Hall of Fame. It's important to remember that she's in the Hall of Fame now, so her legacy and her contribution to the sport will always be remembered and has a permanent place in history. 4 months after her death, Durham was named into the 2021 Hall of Fame class during a ceremony at the US Olympics gymnastics trials. This was an incredible accomplishment, and we're so pleased that she was able to finally have her name placed on it. Her husband, Tom Drahazel, had this to say about the former national team's efforts: that they were here today and shared their stories validates that she mattered, that her gymnastics mattered. It was wonderful to hear the impact Dianne had on so many lives. This would have made Dianne feel so good. The Keralysis sent a letter to be read. This has been a thing since they haven't appeared in public since 2018, but they wanted to say a few words at her memorial. It read, "We remember the day when Dianne and her mother, Calvanita, came to our gym in Houston to try out for our gymnastics team. We instantly saw her great talent, power, explosiveness, and coordination. We were thrilled to accept her as our very first elite student at Keralysis Gymnastics in Houston. Dianne became our first national champion in the US. She was a tiger. Dianne loved life like no other. Her laughter and positivity were contagious, but as an athlete, you could never underestimate her desire and determination to become the best." Those are such powerful words from her coaches. Dianne Durham is someone who has left a legacy and has changed the sport forever. We are forever grateful for her tenacity and her resilience when she was faced with such adversity. Thank you, Dianne Durham, for being a role model that everyone can look up to. Julia Steingruber. Julia Steingruber has recently retired from the sport. She was a Swiss gymnastics superstar that is now embarking on her academic and coaching ventures. She's spoken about how the turbulent last few years have provided her with a positive reflection on her years in the sport. The 27-year-old had this to say: "I had a wonderful time in gymnastics. The past 5 years have been a roller coaster with injuries and the death of my sister. I wanted to say goodbye in a good mood regarding gymnastics." She said that a vacation after this summer's Olympic Games in Tokyo really put things into perspective for her when it came to making this decision about retirement. "I knew that I had to listen to my body," said Steingruber. "After Tokyo, I was so tired with my body and my mind. During my holidays, I realized that I'm done. I had a good career, and that was all I could see at this moment." With such an incredible career behind her, we know that she will go off and do amazing things. We wish her the absolute best in all of her future endeavors. What do you think Steingruber will do with her retirement? Will she coach some future winners? World champion. This year's world champion title was given to Russia's Angelina Melnikova in Kitakyushu, Japan. This ended the long reign that was held by the US gymnasts. The 21-year-old, who also led Russia to a team gold medal in the Olympics, showed a combination of high difficulty and great execution on all 4 events. Melnikova is only the 3rd Russian woman to win a world all-around title. "I am so happy that I did all that I wanted. My most important goal for the competition is done now," she said. "We're very happy for Melnikova and her recent win. It's such a triumph, and we're sure this is only the beginning for the gymnast. She will surely go on to do amazing things in the sport." Well, everyone, there you have it. We've spoken about the incredible Dianne Durham, her memorial, and what people had to say. She was truly an amazing individual. You've also found out who's just won the World Championship title. So we have to ask, do you watch gymnastics? Have you ever tried it? Let us know down below.